Hello everyone, and welcome to the Recursion interview problem solution for the first interview problem, reversing a string using recursion. Remember, you had to use recursion to solve this. You couldn't slice or use an iterative process. As always, there's a full solutions notebook that goes over the solutions with code and an explanation, and then you can test out the solution yourself. In this case, it's in the folder under recursion interview problems, and then recursion problems -solutions. You can click that folder and it'll take you to all the solutions for all the interview problems. In this case, we're looking at reverse a string. So we're going to go ahead and walk through the particular solution we have for this interview problem. So let's go ahead and think about the problem. What we have to do is reverse a string using recursion. So that phrase recursion, we already know we need a base case and some sort of recursive case. So let's go ahead and start filling that in. We'll need a base case, and notice how I'm just thinking out loud with comments. This is important to do during an interview. You really want to make sure that your interview isn't just watching you perform silently or think silently. Think out loud during the interview process. So what I'm thinking right now is, since I know I'm going to use recursion, I'll have a base case and a recursive case. And let's go ahead and put a pass in here so we don't get an error when we run that block. So let's think about what we want to do here. If I have a string, let's just say it's A, B, C. I want to reverse this string, which means I'm going to want to grab C somehow, and then grab B, and then grab A, and then add them up together. But I want to do that in a recursive fashion. So how can I do that? Well, we can start by thinking of the base case. How would I know that I'm done? If we're constructing this reverse string recursively, I'll start out with C, and then I'll have to do some sort of recursive call on that reverse function, and I'll pass in everything else that's remaining. Let's say AB. And then that will eventually lead to, and this is just pseudocode, to some sort of call on CA, and then, CB, and then I'll have some single letter remaining. No matter how long the string is, eventually at the end, I'll just be adding one single element to that string as I reverse it. So I know I can think about this as my base case being when I only have one element left in that string. So we can go ahead and fill that out. I could say if the length of what string is, in this case I'm just going to say less than or equal to 1, I'll return that string because I know I'm done. So already, just by thinking about it logically, I can think that I have a base case when the length of my string is 1. So I won't need to do any more recursion calls on it. So now we can focus on the recursive case. What do I actually want to return here? So if we think about this, we want to grab the first element of the string. And in this case, that will be S index 0. And we actually want to tack it on, since we're reversing it, we want to tack it onto the recursive call of the function, reverse in this case, on the string. But I don't want to do it on the whole thing. I want to do it on everything that wasn't in that first element. So I want to do it from 1, index 1, all the way to the rest of the string. So let's go ahead and run this, make sure it works. I'll call reverse. And here we go, CBA. Great. So let's go ahead and work through this and make sure we understand what's actually happening. First, we check if we have a base case. Is the length of the string less than or equal to 1 here? And what I want you to know is we could also have just said check if it is equal to 1. So we're checking if it's equal to 1. If it is, then we know it's the base case. In some languages, you may need to check if it's less than or equal to 1, which is why I keep it here. So then we'll return that last element of the string. For every other case, we'll pop off that first letter. So if we're just starting out, we'll pop off A, and then we'll attach it to the recursive call on everything else, which will then pop off B, and then will pop off C. So in this case, what's happening recursively is I grab A and pop off B and C. Then, on the next recursive call, I grab B, pop it off from there, and I'm remaining with C. And then I see that C, that element, only has a length of 1. So these little sections of string here, granted this is pseudocode, I can make it into real code by adding single quotes, will then form the reverse version of that string. So as far as code, this is actually very, very simple, what you had to code out, but it was really the process of thinking about it, thinking about what order this statement and this statement go in order to have the correct solution. So again, walk through the solution notebook, make sure you really understand the important parts here. We're thinking about the base case, what it would look like when you're reversing the string. So don't worry if you had a little bit of trouble in thinking about what the base case would look like. It just takes a lot of practice, and you do have to struggle with it for a bit since thinking about things recursively doesn't come naturally to a lot of people. So it's important to see a lot of examples. Again, if you're having trouble with it, you can look through the example homework problems we did earlier in this section of the course, or go ahead and look up just basic recursion problems online through Google. All right. So again, hopefully this was pretty straightforward as far as what the solution actually looked like, and make sure that both the base case and the recursive case make sense to you as you review this problem. All right, great job, and I will see you at the next lecture.